Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Tudo bem? Como estás? I hope you're well. If you saw, I wonder if that worked. If you saw our opening meme this morning, it said, I heard that if you show a little ass, it gets more likes. Oh, look, little ass on the screen there. For those of you listening to the podcast, I can assure you that it's just a baby horse, a foal, and I am feeling a little hoarse. This no, oh God, it's getting more rather than less complicated, which was my intention. To simplify the little cul-de-sac that I just drove myself into. I will reverse quickly, floor it, and escape back onto the highway of the Good Morning Portugal show this morning. So do let us know how you are in the chat, if you will. Lots of people here this morning telling us about their weekend, I hope, as well as being here this morning and saying hi. Barack, good to see you. Bob Wenger's in already at 8:20 this morning. Bob was in and will be with us in about an hour's time. I was going to send you a message, Bob, just in case the DST got the better of you and you turned up an hour early or an hour late. But we'll see you in about an hour from now, right now. Okay, so happy Holi to everyone as well. The Nanu says to everyone in Portugal from India. Great to hear from you, the Nanu. It's like tomatinha in Spain, but with color powder instead of tomatoes, mostly organic colors. Oh, I've seen this. People dress in white, don't they? And then throw these beautiful colored herbs and spices and powders at each other. Mostly organic colors, for example, using turmeric powder for yellow. Oh, if you've got a picture for tomorrow, that would be wonderful if you're able to capture any holy celebrations. Holly. I'm going to go with for the time being, unless you educate me better there with how to pronounce that than now. Lovely to see you here this morning. Jackie, the humble crafter, also in. Cheese Festival looked fab. Oh, that was Barack who was at the Cheese Festival. Hola, bon dia then, from Travanza. Went to the Cheese Festival in Oliveira do Hospital over the weekend. It was fabulous. Can still smell it. Cheese Festival looked fab. I come from a town in Wales that has a huge cheese fest. Ah, dad joke. Cheese-related dairy produce dad joke. Warning then. How do Welsh people eat cheese? Carefully. No, hold on. Yes, there you go. And one of these. I think that deserves one of those. Excellent stuff. Okay. Oh, my kids had a friend over, and in the back of the car last night, I was hearing all their jokes. Fantastic. Great material for the show. I was thinking, from the mouths of babes ranging from 5 to 18, my passengers yesterday, with some very good material. Coach Turner was in at 7:37. Not quite a jumbo. Bom dia a todos e bem-vindo a uma nova semana. 21 days to go. You got 21 days to go. 21 days to go. 21 days to go until our road trip. But normality strikes today as we're child wrangling, looking after the grandkids. Coffee is a necessity first, though. And your God Squad tip of the day. And thank you for the picture you sent me, which I shall be showing in just a moment, Coach Turner. God Squad tip of the day, then. Mens sana in corpore sano. Sound body, sound mind is timeless advice and fundamental to growing old disgracefully. There are no guarantees, but all the research shows that keeping fit helps mental health, though that needs to be balanced with having a good time, doesn't it just? There was an anonymous quote I saw yesterday, says the coach, 20 years from now, you would give anything to be as you are at this moment. Wow. Take a second to enjoy it now, in capital letters, as the Romans used to say, caveat emptor, or carpe diem, I think, right? Buyer beware and carpe diem at the same time. And I think this was, well, we had a bit of a to and fro, didn't we, with memes yesterday. I saw this and thought of the coach, Coach Ian Turner of the God Squad, his official title. Lord Turner of the God Squad, of God Squadshire. Your time on earth is limited. Don't try to age with grace. Age with mischief, audacity, and a good story to tell. And I think the coach quite enjoyed that. And he saw my meme and raised it with this, which is very helpful. Thank you very much. We do like to cover men's fashion, of course, here on the Good Morning Portugal show. He thought I might like this, and he's not wrong. He is not wrong. I do like that. And if you were tuned in last week and heard the fact that Colin Ross Jones, rugby Colin, of course, how did you get on with the rugby at the weekend, Colin? If you're listening, we're going to a ladies netball team event. It's a special celebration of this ladies netball team on the Silver Coast here. Of course, we've spoken to a couple of the ladies from the team. They invited us over to this special event. And Colin's idea was to wear tutus for some silly reason that only Colin could possibly think of, with his incredible mind. Talk about sound mind, sound body there over on that side of the Old Badosh Lagoon. Well, I'm thinking, Colin, if we can get a couple of these from the Chinese shop, I don't think that would match your skin tone so much. If I may be as bold as to give you a couple of fashion tips here. I think the style, the cut is good, but not the color necessarily. I might be able to pull that color off, so to speak. Do you think I could pull it off in that outfit, as it were? Who doesn't like to pull it off first thing in the morning? I'm thinking that might be an improvement on the tutu, a bit more masculine. Oh, maybe. And it looks also like, doesn't it look like a sectional cut of a tomato or a fruit of some kind, doesn't it? The top part of that, where the nipples are. Again, if you're listening on the podcast, I'm playing some awful tricks with your mind's eye right now, but the nipples are poking very nicely through. Are you allowed to say nipple publicly on a podcast without being cancelled? I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? Look at that. You and me, Colin, how about that for next Thursday? Oh my goodness, what's happening? Yes, I told you I was a little horse. There it is. There's the you naysayers. I'm definitely a little horse. Needed to have a little sip on my tea. I think enough of that picture on the screen, don't you? Thanks, Coach Turner, for everything this morning. Michael Barton is here. Oh, look, Michael Barton's here. So we should play the video. Would you give me a chance to have a little, very, very quick sip of tea and enjoy some of the honey therein? So where's Michael Barton gone as he stands astride his balcony addressing Portugal? Here he is.
Bom dia, Portugal!
Come on, where's the next one? 913-590-303. Thank you to João de Norte, who has been sending the most beautiful pictures of Italy and France. Started off in Spain, of course. John was the first to start this craze of Bom dia, Portugal from the rooftops.
Bom dia, Portugal!
Both of you, incredible gentlemen. Excellent effort. We had Mama Bear McGowan. She had a go, didn't she, as well? Not from her rooftop of her tiny home. Wouldn't have given her a great deal of height, I don't suppose, if you are on the roof of your tiny home. But we have officially 3 efforts. We've got João de Norte, who started it off, Michael Barton, who's saying Bon dia, everyone. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Great weekend, in fact. Enjoyed showing our friends from Chicago Tomar yesterday. What did they like especially about Tomar? Tomar is a great place, and our edit of The Englishman and the Irishman in Tomar is being made as we speak. Andy is coming to, if you want to meet Andy, not Mandy, but Andy. Don't think we've got a Mandy coming. If you want to meet Andy. No, if you want to meet Andy, not anyway, Andy Klein is going to be there at the Storytellers meetup. Oh, I was at the Storytellers on Friday night. Oh my goodness, that was really good. Anyway, let me complete that particular trajectory tangent there. Andy Klein and Bobby actually will be coming along to the meetup at the Storytellers on Wednesday 27th, 2 days from now. Most of you who are coming have told me you're coming. You've RSVP'd. And you've told me what you want to eat. There is a salmon ravioli, I think. There is the meat dish is a rouladen, a German roulade, I guess. And there's also a fascinating vegetarian dish as well. And Boudin Conventual is the dessert. The food on Friday was incredible. I wasn't able to be there for the whole event. I went along for the dessert and coffee course with the way things turned out on Friday and over this weekend. It's been very busy time, isn't it? And very turbulent. We'll come back to that in just a moment because there's a big weather warning for Portugal at the moment. This is where we'll be on Wednesday. Raquel will be there as well. It's going to be a great gathering. Do let me know if you're coming, and I can send you the menu, and you can tell me what you'd like to eat. I think we're close to being fully booked. And on Friday, it was this event, which was, no, it wasn't. That was the Courier Palace. Oh, who went to that? And how was it? Do let me know. The mortgage chat with Vera, that's gone up on, if you're looking for a mortgage in Portugal, the chat I had with Vera on the Expats Portugal webinar last Thursday is now published on the Expats Portugal channel. Don't go there yet. Bookmark it. Put it on your YouTube queue and watch it later on. This was the event on Friday at the Storytellers 13 at table wine pairing event. It was a delight to be sat next to the Fado singer, Sandra. She was great. And I did get her number just in case when we have a gathering here in San Martino de Porto again, which we will do. I think we should have a couple of those a year. She may well come and sing for us. And she was really brilliant. And I asked if she would sing Casa Portuguesa, which I've recorded and will be sending to Gilda. She was brilliant. Sandra was brilliant. The coffee was superb as well. It was a coffee company who came along, and I'll tell you the name. In fact, I took a nice photograph of the coffee from, what are they called? I forget now. I will remind myself with the photograph, the rather artistic photograph, I like to think, that I took. Oh, and shall I show you? I think I might show you my video as well of save video. Can I download the video? Or maybe I can't do that. But what I can do is tell you the name of the coffee company who are there, who I commend to you. Sensa Cafe, of course. Sensa, Sensa Cafe were there talking about their tailor-made coffees. If you run a cafe or would just like to order, I don't know if they work for domestic as well as trade, but it was lovely. These evenings are so educational. Obviously, there was a great deal of information about the wine. Oh, and the late harvest dessert wine from the producer here. Let me just. It was Adega Mai, and they're in Torres Novas. They're Adega Mai. There you can see at the bottom of the screen. That was the guest producer of the evening. Their Torres Vedras vineyard is superb and has some great opportunities there for a little trip over there and some wine tasting. You can have a few snacks or you can have a full meal. And I dare say you can stay there or near there as well and extend the experience. So Adega Mai, loved your late harvest, loved the red and the white, of course, as well. Very carefully crafted, beautifully made, balanced wines. And the late harvest was especially good. Get it while you can, because that, he was saying, is a very difficult wine to produce, the dessert wine. And what a great job. It was delicious. It was delicious. And it went beautifully with my fig pudding. Some of you saw that on my Facebook timeline. And to top it all, I went to see Miguel of Infusões com História, who are a tea blender. 40 different herbs, teas, leaves they blend. 4 of them Portuguese. No, so I think it's 60. 60 is their tea palette. And I wanted to write about tea. Of course, Queen Catarina, as she became when she went to England, she was a consort from Portugal, the only Portuguese, I think, to marry into the English royal family. She married Charles II, and I tell a little bit of that story and blend in. Miguel will be happy with my blending, I think. I blended in as though they were tea leaves. The story of Catarina and the story of Infusões com História. What a fantastic company. So I met some amazing people, even though I was only able to be there for the dessert and a coffee and a tea and a dessert wine and a fig pudding. Actually, that's not so bad, is it? When I put it like that. What a lovely evening that was. Join us at the Storytellers Palace on Wednesday, if you will. Bob and Viv joining us at 9:30 this morning in about 3/4 of an hour. And of course, because it's Monday, a bit of mindful migration Mondayness with James, who will be joining us in about 15 minutes. Let's put the proper frame on the screen and give you a quick flash of my outfit again for next Thursday. Have you caught you by surprise there, didn't I? Now, I was saying, quite turbulent then, these last few days. Cars, well, every horizontal surface, and some at 45-degree angles even have been covered with Saharan dust. That's been going on. It was really windy last night. Apparently, if I go to the Portugal resident, Natasha Don's been reporting on how wind, rain, plummeting temperatures, even snow are forecast for Portugal. So like turbulent weather, Saharan sand, a full moon last night, I think, or around now. And we've got an eclipse coming up, haven't we? Got a big eclipse coming up on the 8th of April. And those who see such things as omens are chattering quite a lot at the moment about the upcoming April the 8th solar eclipse. So yes, quite a lot going celestially and in the skies at the moment. However, if you are if everything near you has been covered in Saharan dust, don't worry, Portugal will get its revenge after having its atmosphere filled with Sahara dust or Saharan dust. Thank you to Canadians in Portugal for this meme. Portugal will now fill the skies over North Africa with smoke from grilled sardines. I thought that was hilarious. Very good. Well done. I don't know if you actually made that meme there, Canadians in Portugal. Often very funny. Many of the postings. Yeah, it's one of the lighter-hearted groups, I have to say. Informative too. But there you go. Portugal will get its revenge with this Saharan dust business by sending over sardine-flavored smoke. Not for a little while yet, though. It's a bit early still, isn't it? I think we have to wait for the Saints' Day in June, I believe. Saint João, isn't it, who is associated with the Saints? I'm sure Antonio F. will tell me if I'm correct, if he's already tuned in. And thanks, Antonio F. Some great information up at the Portugal Club from you, as ever. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's see who's here, who's joined us just whilst I've been chatting there and showing off my new outfits and so on. I think maybe people can't see anymore after seeing that and cannot even see their keyboard sufficiently to type after being blinded by that imagery. Morning from Owen. Oh, thank you, Owen. You've been cooking this weekend and sent us a recipe. We'll come back to that. Beautiful, mate. We have a wonderful recipe from, excuse me, a little horse and other things going on. I need to have a little break and sip some more tea here. But we got a beautiful photograph, and I'll tell you how those chocolate brownies can be made. Thanks to Owen in a little while. That's superb. And where do we get to in the chat? Antonio F is here. Bon dia todos. How are you? Tudo bem, Antonio? And Larry, good to see you. Bon dia. All great time on Saturday at the gathering at A Quinta in Solidipur. I just missed you, Larry. I was over there as well. A nice walk over and a lovely gin and tonic with our wraps. Yeah. And great to see you on Friday too. Nice how our paths crossed over the weekend. Then, yeah, the gathering with Siobhan and Patsy and the crew at A Quinta was really good, wasn't it? And what a contrast, the luxury of the Storytellers Palace and the rusticity of A Quinta over there. Great weekend. And it was, I topped mine off last night at the, what's it called? The Solution Bar. Which is a good name for a bar when you think about it, isn't it? Mrs. M, though, has cottoned on now to why I keep disappearing to the laundrette. We fully availed ourselves of the facilities last night. I think we had, if we were playing Portuguese food top trumps, we had a pretty good hand. We had a prego, a burger, a bifana, and a tosta mista with lots of lovely fries as well. Great job. Soluções Cafe, the greatest man cave laundromat in all of the world, I would say. I think it deserves that title, and I think Mrs. M agrees. She might be fighting me to go and do some washing as well over there. Did you say happy Holly? We'll see you in a minute, James. Yes, I did say happy Holly. Your middle names, your middle and last name, in fact. Squirrel, what? And Bon dia Owen from Antonio F. clearly says Coach Turner had my Roman sayings back to front. It was early. Well, buyer beware and carpe diem are not a bad little hand of Roman cards to have, right? On the one hand, being careful, and on the other, seizing the day. And that sounds paradoxical, does it not? But it's true. It's good advice. So proud that Linda kept the family tradition of winning the wine quiz. I didn't stay long enough to find that news out. Congratulations. Excellent. Well done. Family tradition there. How many times is that? And was that the third one last night, or the fourth, Larry, of the 13 at the table gatherings? Pam's in. Bon dia to you. And where's that book market you mentioned? What? You can explain yourself when I see you in a little while there, James. Bon dia, everyone. Back in Lisbon after the Porto meetup with a record 42 in attendance last Friday. Oh, do tell us more. Always happy to publish any details of meetups that are happening around the country. Do let us know next time. That sounds amazing. Hope to get to that one day. That sounds incredible. 42 at the meetup there. I bet the restaurant where you held that were delighted, were they not? As long as they knew. I have turned up at a restaurant, I think, with about 42 people here in San Martino de Porto. They were a bit shocked. I should have told them. In fairness, wish we could have squeezed in the Silver Coast tasting event due to our affinity for Vinho e Fado. You'd have loved it, absolutely loved it. But I imagine there'll be another one. Is the vegetarian option a secret as usual? No, it's not. Stop your eye rolling there, Pam. Jumping to that conclusion there. I don't think there's a lot of information, however. To be fair, what was? Hold on a minute. I don't think I can. I'll send it to you after the show if I can't find. Oh yeah, the vegetarian is salsichas con couve lombarda. Is that enough information for you there? I'm going to put all of this into the chat here, and I'm hoping it is the right. That is the right menu, I think. Okay, may have to issue a correction tomorrow morning if it isn't. But that looks like a nice menu. For Wednesday there, starting with, unless you're a vegetarian, of course, sardinhas con pimenta. There is the little starter that we'll be having. Sue's also meetup talk. Midorish meetup was fun. We represented the Gumpers. We met English, Scottish, Flemish, Dutch, and Portuguese neighbours. Dined on butternut squash soup and chicken curry and a lovely rump roast. Who doesn't like to have their rump roasted first thing? Well, not first thing in the morning, but on a Saturday afternoon at a lovely meetup in Midorish near Tabua. Excellent. Well done, Suze. And give us a date of the next one. And Jones Travellers, please, Trevor and Shannon, please give us the details of the next Porto meetup. In fact, is it Jeff who is the mainstay of that? If he wants to come on the show and have a chat about it, be more than happy to welcome him onto the show. The dust and particles have made it up here to Travanza and Oliveira do Hospital. Horrible, but made an amazing sunset last night. Now, talking of amazing sunsets, thank you, Gabby, who I also saw on Friday night. Saw these on Gabby's timeline and thought the Gumpers must see this photograph she took in Nazaré. Look at that sunset there. Again, of course, the Saharan sand adding to that beautiful hue in the sky. And if you look closely, there is a seagull flying over to the left of the picture as well. Beautiful picture from Nazaré. Thank you, Gabi Vela, for allowing us to share that one. Any pictures or videos you've got, 913-590-303, including male fashion tips and suggestions. Thank you very much, Coach Turner. Pinky and Filomena. Filomena is here this morning. Bon dia, excelente semana santa todos. Saints week. We're in our run-up to Easter, of course, here in Portugal. And Filomena has, which I'll show the video and photos that she sent me over the weekend. This all originated in Ericeira, a saintly pilgrimage, and with a bit of a backstory. So that to come this week as we prepare for Easter in Portugal. Have you got your folar yet? Have you got your great big, in fact, I can show you the biggest one that's likely to be in Portugal in the coming week. Folar, of course, is the great, is it a delicacy? Could you possibly describe folar as a delicacy? It's actually quite a brutal piece of baking in my view and opinion. If we go over to goodmorningportugal.com and scroll to the second news item, it's almost time, say the Portugal resident, to taste Guia's famous giant folar. Folar the leader. Get it? Guia serves slices of a giant folar I thought it was an H in that, every year on, or is that follow if you put an H in it? Every year on Easter Sunday, thousands of people are expected for the 20th edition of Prova do Folar de Guia. They're down in the south, a tasting of the Guia Folar, of course, in translation, the village's popular Easter event held on Easter Sunday. So that'll be March the 31st, next Sunday at 4 p.m. The biggest attraction of the event is the giant Folar Easter cake, which weighs over 250 kilos, folks, and is cut into slices, which are handed out for free to everyone in attendance. That's wonderful. Look at the size of it. And that's not just a carefully taken photograph with a strange perspective. I think that's pretty much gives you the size of the people there gives you a sense of the scale of the cake at 250 kilos. It's also cherry blossom time in Portugal. What a wonderful time of year, as you can see on our homepage. goodmorningportugal.com. A few more minutes then, and James will be with us. Happy Holly, everybody. Pinky, hello, everyone. Happy Monday from Pinky. I think for your outfit, a different color might look better. Well, thank you, Pinky. Are you suggesting pink, Pinky? No, blue, a nice shade of blue, a bit more manly. The fluorescent lime green is what? Just a little bit too vulgar, perhaps? Yes, thank you for that tip there. Actually, thinking about it, everyone's likely to get a tip, aren't they, if you wear this outfit, I think. Did I just say that? I think I did. And let's just go to the last of the comments here, or the comments so far, I should say, hopefully not the last of the comments. We had a lovely time in Lisbon on Friday, says Pam, although I think I inhaled quite a bit of Saharan dust. Yeah, a good use for those old COVID masks are knocking about in the glove compartment or wherever you stashed them, maybe. Thanks, Philomena, for your lovely picture and videos, pics and vids. They will be featured this week, of course, as we make our way towards Easter here in Portugal. And, oh, yeah, there we go. As well as sardines, you can enjoy a salmon ravioli, the rouladen. They're not giving much away, Pam, on the meat dish with the rouladen there and the vegetarian there, as I said, sausage, a vegetarian sausage of cabbage and in a Lombardian style. I don't know what that is. Maybe you do. And to finish, pudding conventual. It's going to be a good one. Raquel will be there talking about how to. What's James doing? He'll show us again. He'll show that. He'll do that gesture live for you in a few minutes' time. Contain yourself, man. Alcobaça meetup is every Tuesday, 3 to 5 in the Parque Verde. One of the many great things we talked to. Clyde, of course, on Friday about how wonderful Alcobaça is. And he mentioned the Green Park there, which is wonderful. The cafe is brilliant too. Bookmark it. Ah, perpetual dad joker. Very good. Very beautifully tenuous and very dad jokey, of course. We've been sharing info about the Haboobs. What? Back in Arizona. Got sand. What are haboobs? James might know. That's my first question to James this morning. What are haboobs? What's in it for me? Sand, probably at the moment, Saharan sand. Bon dia todos, tudo bem from Peter. Good morning to you, Peter. 2 Welsh listeners this morning then. Porto de Mos is the place to go for falar, says Pam. There's lots of variations, some delicate flavors, okay, and a carpet of flowers. Well, any excuse to go to Porto de Mos. What a fantastic town that is. And fuchsia, or as some people say, I've heard British aristocratic people calling fuchsias. Can you believe that? And haboobs are sandstorms. Why would they be called that, I wonder? And couve lomba. Oh, I see. Okay, thanks, Pam. It's a kind of cabbage. It's a full name. It's a big head of cabbage. Do you haboobs? Honestly, he is the perpetual dad joker. I think we should play his theme tune, and he should face the consequences of such comments in our chat this morning. Where is it? Where's his theme tune? A moment for me to have another sip of tea and get in the right frame of mind. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bom dia! Como estás? Como foi o teu fim de semana?
Muito bem. Haboobs, você.
It reminds me of a T-shirt I bought a friend of mine who was into yoga, and it said something like, "Let's go to yoga, namaste," and then underneath that it said, "In bed."
I was going to suggest that to people this morning. Today would be a great duvet and a namaste in bed day today, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I thought you were going to make
namaste.
I thought you were going to make a boobs pun there. Let's leave that
Well,
hanging.
that was done with haboobs.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Nice
Some
word
things
play.
sometimes I share my thought process too openly.
Sometimes, seriously, only sometimes. Is there a lot more going on behind the scenes?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Infinitely so.
How is that for you? How is that for you?
I've learned to manage it, but I say frequently people would not want to be running around in my mind. It would be terribly
Really?
confusing. Yeah,
Oh,
terribly confusing.
look
Like,
at you.
what?
You got a very special bond here, James, from
Bom
a
dia,
minute.
Filomena.
Okay, and where did my Mita Wayne go? We need this. We need to be ready, don't we?
Muito bem!
Woo! Obrigado.
Spirit's that, isn't it? Muito bem.
Yeah, yes, it's wonderful. I love it. I see why you got that thrill from it initially.
Lovely affirmation. Lovely affirmation. Right. So, what's been going on? What have you been up to in this last couple of days? Down to the market. And how's it been in Ericeira with the Saharan sand? I bet you've had a nice sunset or two there, haven't you?
Because I don't have a view of the ocean, I don't see it every evening. And actually, in fact, it's kind of rare for me to see it because I'm usually not in the villa during sunset time.
Okay.
But from where I am, the sun sets right outside my sliding glass door, so I can see the colors in the sky usually, but it's just been so much a combination of clouds and sand that it just kind of has this grayish, pinkish hue to it that just sort of fades as it gets dark. So yeah, it hasn't been a whole lot to look at in the sky the last week or so. It's mostly pinkish, grayish sky.
Yeah, and the sun is a white dot, isn't it, during the day? It's quite
Yeah, well, and sometimes it's really disarming because I have a decent view of a bit of a distance, and there's bay trees or those other ones. Then I went to oleanders. No, not that one. Anyway, they're blowing.
The other one, yeah.
So I can see the wind. It's windy and it's gray and it looks like it's freezing cold out. And I open my door and it's 23, 24 degrees out. It's warm, which is kind of disarming. It looks cold, but feels warm. So
yeah, a kind of Mistral-esque breeze. It's lovely. Louisa commented on it over the weekend. Mine, not yours. And said, yeah, isn't it lovely? Here we are. It is a little bit windy and it looks really cold, but actually it's warm. It's lovely to be walking in this as we walked over near Salida de Porto at the weekend.
Yeah, it's a very tropical combination, I guess, from my experience.
Yeah.
I remember warm rain when I was in the Philippines, and it really struck me. And the size of the raindrops, it felt like they were this big. It's like just huge raindrops pouring down, and you're still sweating in the humidity and the heat. It was just very bizarre for me coming from California.
And half an hour later, you don't know it's been raining, do you? It's so warm that everything's evaporated with about half an hour. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is more than you can say for a Portuguese downpour. And more is on the way, apparently. There are weather warnings in 15 districts in mainland Portugal, just so you know. IPMA, the Portuguese Sea and Atmosphere Institute, has placed those 15 districts in Portugal, as well as the archipelago of Madeira, under a yellow warning as of, I think that's from today. Yeah, this was reported yesterday, due to forecasts of heavy rain, snow, wind, and sea turbulence. The snow is potentially likely to fall in the districts of Aveiro. Wow, snow across the districts of Aveiro, possibly. Castelo Branco, Bragança, Coimbra, Viseu, Braga, Porto, Guarda, Villarreal, Viana do Castelo, and Leiria, where we live here. The strong wind and sea turbulence warnings being valid until Tuesday for some of those districts. So be careful with that. It's not going to be the warm rain that James is talking about there. Now, were you in the Philippines for long?
No, it was... One of my jokes is prior to moving to Portugal, or more recently, I had never been traveled outside of the United States except by the compliments of the U.S. Navy. So that was part of a
Right.
Navy thing. So one of the stays at the aircraft carrier I was stationed on was in, now I can't remember which city, but in the Philippines. So
Wow.
we would stay in for a few days and go out for a week and then come back in for a week and then, just in and out of the Philippines.
There is a
So
huge American influence, isn't there, in the Philippines?
yeah, the military, especially
Yeah.
where the military bases were, the Air Force has what is now, well, I don't know if it's now, it was then also a almost like a tourist retreat for the military. So yeah, it's the U.S. The military has done a lot to establish U.S. presence especially in the Pacific, which
Yeah.
makes sense given
And
World
your
War II and
naval
all.
career, I mean, you're known to contemplate your naval, but not in that regard, James.
My EL, not my AL.
Yes, yeah, your AL license, as it were. Not much, we don't hear a great deal about that. How long were you in the Navy?
Just a couple of years. It was kind of an
Right.
experimental program where they were trying to get people to join because it was post-Vietnam and post-draft, so
Wow.
conscription. So there were folks who said, "I don't want to be in the military, not if I don't have to be." But
Yes.
I was at a point in my life where I was trying to figure out what I want to do for a living. I was married. It's like I needed an income, and I was really into photography. So I thought, well, here's an opportunity during a non-war time to make a relatively short, although it felt forever when I was there. Found out I didn't really care for it. And I was, by virtue of the test you take at the beginning, I was able to basically name whatever field I wanted to take my education in. So I chose photography. That's where I learned. That's where I learned the skills around multimedia presentation. Was that experience?
See, okay, yeah.
And I did that a couple of years and said, no, not for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Well,
I did.
nonetheless, all thanks for your service in the Navy, says Veronica. Good morning to you, Veronica, this morning. Good to see you.
Yes. So yeah, anyway, it was something that happened. Being married and in love at the time, being away for 7 to 9 months was not exactly what I signed up for. And recruiters at the time would tell you anything to get you signed on the dotted line. So I thought I had like a 99% chance of getting shore-based duty on the West Coast, and turned out no, not even close to the
you, my
truth.
boy. Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, aircraft carrier, which had just come out of dry dock, so it was all ready to just go out and be out all the time, and that's when I got stationed. So, yay!
Wow.
It's a very strange culture, the culture of sailors. There are many sailors who were, like smiling and joyful when they were leaving. Bye, honey,
Yes.
because they go off and fool around, and then their wives would then be hooking up with other sailors who had come into shore, and it was a great arrangement they had apparently. But I was not that. I was very committed to my marriage.
Not your cup of tea, right?
Come on, James, we can go get laid. It's like it's all right. And then, of course, the lines to the medical bay were huge every time we left shore, because everyone had contracted these venereal diseases and other things,
goodness. Right.
But if they knew they had it, they wouldn't tell anyone until we were going off to sea again, because they didn't want to miss out on the opportunities on shore. So imagine how
my goodness.
it just continues
Another
to
side of
spread.
naval life shared.
Yeah. So I was at the time, I just shaking my head because I was kind of old for a new sailor. I was in my early 20s. I wasn't just I wasn't 18 or something like that. So it was quite an experience.
I bet.
It gives me stories to tell if I choose to, but all in all, it wasn't very pleasant. I didn't enjoy it, and I was ready to get out when I had the opportunity. So,
Well, bear with me. I just need to tell my yappy dog to be quiet. Hold on.
Yep.
There you go. You were spared that. Right. Okay, James, you didn't come here to talk about that this morning, did you? But this is
Wasn't
how
my
we roll.
plan.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
What has been on your mind? Not all
Well,
of
I'll
it.
start.
No,
I'll
no, no.
start with my new feature, or my relatively new feature of one thing I've learned about the Portuguese language,
Oh, yeah,
and
go on.
something that I'm finding that I really love the rules that virtually have no exceptions. And then with that, I always say, but there always might be an exception, so don't take it as 100% truth. But one thing that I discovered along the way that nobody teaches you, or at least that I wasn't taught, was that there are no double L's in the Portuguese language. No such thing. You don't get two L's together ever, except in that potential exception, which I
Right.
don't think is there. So yeah, so when you see or spell the word villa, Villa, that's a Spanish spelling. It's not a Portuguese spelling. So,
There you go.
and I'm even less of an expert on Spanish than I am on Portuguese, which is very, very not even close. But I believe in Spanish that would be pronounced villa anyway, not villa. So that's just one more thing in terms of writing or reading. It's like, oh, well, the letter I is always going to be E, and L is always going to be singular. So it will be vila when you see the word. And that's true of most most of the other consonants. Portuguese is not a language of double consonants. So you'll find a double S from time to time, but it's a very efficient language. So if you can do it with one consonant, that's all you need. L is la. So vila. That's it. We don't need two L's to go la.
There is often an economy in this language, isn't there? And there's an example.
Yes, including how we pronounce things. But yeah, so that was helpful to me just to know. It gives me one less thing to, is that a double L or a single L? It's always going to be a single L. So I don't have to worry about it.
Very much. I have had one of your rules shared back with me in the last week. I can't remember who it was, but people are enjoying your rules to give them.
Nice.
It
works for me.
Language. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do you have any more for us along those lines?
Oh, yeah, but I'm saving them one at a time for one thing I've learned because I don't want to overwhelm, right?
Ah, very good. Bite-sized
and another. I said, what did he say? What was that thing he said about double L's? So one at a time is to digest it, remember
Fair
it,
enough. Thank you
observe it for a week, come back and get another one. And that gives me, one thing for more weeks too. So eventually they'll end.
Well, and buy the book as well when it comes out at Christmas time, or at least the ebook guide, James Holley's Guide to Portuguese.
One thing about the language, one per day. That could be an interesting thing.
It could, couldn't it? All right. But I dare say other things have been on your mind. If not,
yeah. Well, this was one of the weeks where, because sometimes it's like, damn, I want this would be great, or I think my brain just goes really fast. And this week it's like, what do I want to address on Monday? I don't know. And I've got a list of ideas. Again, no, not that one. No, not that one. And then I came on the idea of how we perceive information that has come up several times in different ways. And, we've talked about, boots on the ground. We've talked about, really doing your research. We've talked about, just going for it. Lots of different ways of behaving based on how we have taken in information. So I thought, well, that might be interesting, especially when it comes to making a move. And that applies to people who are making that move brand new, leaving the country of origin to a new country, or people within a country saying, okay, I've been here, now maybe I want to be there. So what would inform me, like what's the right answer? And there usually is not one. Thanks, Antonio. Yes, you're one of the Portuguese that I confirm these things with. So thank you for your help.
Isn't that good? James is in fact right.
Muito bem.
Carry on.
So, and I think last week or maybe the week before, people were talking about intuition or instinct, and let me backtrack a little bit. I am a firm advocate or believer in holism as the human experience, or maybe all experience. In that, it means everything is connected. Bottom line, as I understand it scientifically and as it makes sense to me, everything is energy. Everything is just energy, and it converts from one thing to another. It's never destroyed. So what does that have to do with me as a human? And in terms of the holism, I connect. It's way oversimplified, but I break it down to basically 4 elements in the human experience. There's our intellect or our brain. There's our heart or our emotions. There's our spiritual, belief system, or however that works. Even if it's science or astrophysics, that part that's outside of us, it's really big and sometimes difficult to comprehend, but it's nevertheless there. And then there's the physical part of us, and all of that is a part of our experience. And I believe that it's all connected, that if we're ever trying to resolve an issue, and as a therapist, that was really helpful for me, because someone might say they've been having these thoughts about things. I say, okay, well, they're starting in their intellect, but they also have their emotions, their physicality, and their spirituality that is impacted by whatever they think. If your body is injured, that's going to impact your thoughts, which will impact your emotions, which will then you refer to your spirituality. So I used to say it doesn't matter where we start. It just matters that we know what is going on. And then it's like, how is that connected to everything else? When it comes to making a move, and I believe that intuition can be very helpful, not just moving, but in life. But that's one area we tend to disregard. And we say it in phrases like, it's just a feeling. Like it's not important. It's just a feeling. It will pass. Well, yeah, but everything passes. Thoughts pass, physical pain or pleasure passes, everything passes. So it doesn't make it less important. It's just that we tend not to pay attention to it.
Why
and
is
then
that?
some people.
Can I stop you there? Why? Because I completely agree with you, and I would say that has become my. I kind of do it unconsciously, perhaps. I don't know, but I agree with you entirely. As a worldview, we are holistic, whether we like it or not, and you can't not be. But you can deny or not pay much attention to certain parts of your holistic self. It's not that you're not, it's just that you can decide to filter it if you want to. And I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it? To some extent.
Yeah, well,
why is it so? Sorry, go on.
Well, part of the reason that I love the motto or mantra or whatever you want to call it of notice, choose, act is that so much everything starts with noticing. The thing is, we tend not to notice the more subtle things, and intuition can be subtle. It can be just a little something I feel here near my heart, but if we don't say, what is that? And kind of look at it, oh, it's just gas, all right, or oh, wait, this is something that's trying to inform me. It's trying to tell me something. What is it? And look at it, then it's very easy to shirk it off. And the thing with intuition is, it's not. I was going to say it's not reliable. It's reliable when we interpret it correctly, but it's difficult to interpret because it is a feeling. So now we have to. It's just a sense. So now we have to decipher, what is this sense telling me? Is it just me being anxious and afraid, or is it something that I could potentially really inform me and be of value? And even if we spend time with it, we're still not sure. So intuition is never certain. And I think that's another reason we tend to put it off to the side. We want certainty when we're making choices and decisions. And people say, oh, you can't just jump in with your heart all the time, because it's like, that's not what I'm advocating. I'm saying be holistic about it. Pay attention to all the information. So use your heart and your mind or your brain. Use your physical body. It will tell you things. If you pay attention, you'll realize, ooh, I'm noticing that fairly consistently when I'm about to have this experience, or I am having this experience, I feel a sensation in my knee that doesn't make sense to me. whatever it might be, but pay attention. It might just be you've got a bum knee. We don't know, but you want to pay attention to all of it if you want to be fully informed. And that's the thing I wanted to say about the intuition. There was, I don't want to say a calling because I'm going to start sounding really religious, but there was a sensation that I was ready to make a move. I was feeling unsettled in my normally comfortable environment. Something was not the same, and it wasn't excruciating, and it didn't compel me to take action. It just kind of felt like, maybe we're ready for this, just subtle. But if I hadn't paid attention to it, I never would have arrived at moving out of the country, which never would have then presented Portugal to me, which never would have then led to the life I'm living now. And that was sourced in just kind of a feeling that there was a readiness to do something different. So what I encourage people to do in this whole process, and specifically around moving, because that's what we're talking about, is don't ignore the intuition. Don't ignore the instinct. They're there because they helped us survive as humans.
Yeah, right.
The humans that survived still have it, which says that helped us survive. That's how I read it. It's in the DNA somewhere.
That's a very good way of putting it. What didn't kill us made us stronger, right?
Exactly. It perpetuated the species, because those who didn't have that, there were humans that had it and humans that didn't have that sensation. Yeah. They died. They got killed. They didn't sense the hair didn't go up on the back of their neck when the saber-toothed cat or whatever dangerous animals were there to prey on them. So they ended up disappearing, and the ones that had it said, "Run!" Why? I don't know.
Just run.
Just run.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. Yeah. Well, the idea that we've laughed about before, which is, I need to meditate, but I don't have the time. You could extend that sort of thinking, and you could say that comes from not being holistic. That very thought. I need to meditate. I know I need to meditate. Part of me is saying meditate. Another part of me is saying I don't have the time. You could extend this to what you're talking about. It may serve me to be more open to more aspects of my being, if you like, without wanting to sound too pretentious. But I don't have the time. I've already got it down to a fine art of just listening to two of my faculties to help me make decisions. Onboarding another 5 levels of being is going to be very time consuming. And I just don't have the time for that, James, right now.
Yeah, well, and quite frankly, it's just occurring to me, I think this is one of the reasons, matter of fact, I know this is one of the reasons I so love rules. Because once I learn them, I don't have to think about them, work them out, figure it out. Is that right or is that wrong? It's just something I know, and I can grab it and say, I can use this every time. And so it's by virtue of that desire for efficiency, which lack of efficiency then requires more time. And it's not very efficient, I guess, in terms of time to be paying attention to feelings and emotions and intuition, just thoughts or intellect, what I've learned, these are the rules, boom, and we can apply it. And then life is much more simple and in many ways more efficient. May not be quite as satisfying. You may not enjoy the complexity of being a holistic human being, but you get through fairly without a whole lot of issues. It also then doesn't prepare you for dealing with the issues that do show up, because that does require more faculties to resolve. So,
Pandora's box. And also my big question to you would be, what is watching that? Who or what is observing this? That's a great question.
That's the big meditative question, isn't it?
Yeah, which we could leave hanging there. And if I may,
who is the me I'm referring to when I say
who or what is watching all of this? Yeah, right.
Well, that's what I tend to identify as ego. That's my definition. Freud's definition is very different, and other.
What did he know?
There's the thing, but ego to me is simply my identity. When I look in the mirror and I see me, that's my ego recognizing itself.
Yes.
Right. So I say the musical warm up for ego is me, me, me.
Me.
That's right.
Very good. Right. I'm going to extend on what you're saying. I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here because I saw something very interesting over the weekend. Those people who are uh, have got their T-shirt of being holistic, you might say, been there, done that, and got the T-shirt, might be into the chakra system. And I saw this very. Tell me if this resonates with what you're talking about. And it's this is about how maybe the various chakras, as represented in certain sort of Eastern forms of philosophy and seeing the world and worldview and spirituality, the chakra system suggests here in this particular translation and theory, fear blocks your first chakra, lack of smiles and pleasure blocks your second chakra, your lack of action blocks your third chakra, hate blocks your fourth chakra, not saying what you feel blocks your fifth chakra, focusing only on the bad in life blocks your sixth chakra, and your lack of peace of mind and meditation blocks your seventh chakra. There's more, but would you say that kind of chimes or relates to what you're talking about, these various levels of being and seeing that we might factor into our whole way of life?
Yes, and the thing that I have worked out is whether you adhere to the Eastern way of thinking or the Western way of thinking or whatever it is, the scientific way of thinking, it doesn't really matter because it's all just the way I've broken it down, the way I see it is that it's all just a different way of explaining the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So call it chakras, call it, states of being, call it, emotions and intellect and physicality and spirituality, whatever. I don't know how all that works. I know chakras are supposed to be located in certain parts of the body with the sort of the ultimate, I think actually above the head. So,
yeah, right.
But things do block things. It goes to the notion of holism, that if I'm in physical pain, then I'm going to be emotionally impacted by that. I'm going to require or disregard whatever spiritually I have that can help ease that or might worsen it. And what's the other one? Anyway, there's 4. So all of them will be impacted. The way I put it when I was in grad school and I had an assignment, I said to explain what our point of view was in therapy, and I identified holism. I said, because you can't break a leg, so that's a physical damage, without also having an impact on your brain, on your emotions, and on your spirituality. You can't have a crisis of spirit without that impacting your physicality, your mentality, and your emotionality. So that everything, it's like we can deny those parts of ourselves. We can ignore those parts of ourselves. It doesn't change the fact that each one of those parts, and probably many more, I said it's oversimplified, are impacted by anything that we experience. All of that is impacted, and all of that then influences and potentially informs us. So this is why the notice is so important in the Notice, Choose, Act. That's the awareness. That's the wake up. That's the pay attention that becomes much more available when we meditate. When we calm everything down and look within, then we can begin to sense those things because we're being quiet enough to identify the more subtle aspects.
Yeah, I can see that completely. And on that note, Pam was connecting to the things you said this morning about rules and instincts. In speaking Portuguese, I don't like to overthink. Sometimes I come up with something I didn't know I knew. That's very interesting, isn't it? And Pete agrees, especially if he's partially medicated. Now, what you're talking about isn't thinking necessarily, though, is it? It's sort of being aware. Noticing is not thinking, is it?
No, it's paying attention, and I don't know how that would be categorized. And it's a both and for me. It's like I know I'm never going to learn a language if all I do is learn rules, because rules aren't going to help me to learn the language. But they help me to eliminate certain things I don't need to carry around or figure out. So then I can let intuition and other things work. So I absolutely agree with Pamela on that. Language, like so many creative things, and learning a language, actually creating a language, it's all creativity, and it requires the whole part of us. If you think about those parts again, our physical, our mental, our spiritual, I always forget the last one, the one I haven't named, but
all of it. Let's just say all of it.
Yeah. So creativity, learning a language requires all of it, in my opinion.
Thanks, T-Duck, with a reminder there to smash the like button. And actually, where you started off, before we go over to the United States of America to talk to Bob and Viv, where you started with this, I think, was, for example, choosing where to live in Portugal, where to settle. There's a much easier way than all of that. Just ask in a Facebook group. Easy, job done. Thank you very much.
You are absolutely right. I get all my most trusted information from Facebook.
Yes, let's give them a nice big round of applause and see if they agree. Oh no, that's who's on the phone?
Still ringing.
Let's give them a nice big round of applause. It's Bob and Viv, everybody! Yay! All right. Good morning for you. Is it still? It's very early morning for you, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, 4:30. Yeah.
Oh no! Have we done this to you?
Bob.
Got you up out of bed at 4? You look magnificent for people who probably haven't gone to bed even yet.
Oh yeah, we went to bed.
No.
Did you really?
We're not living the Portugal nightlife. Staying up. No.
Oh, thank you so much. 4:30 in the morning. Bless you both. How's it going over there in the United States of America?
Oh,
it's going great.
Yeah, it is.
We're having a good time. We've seen all our families and spent time with them, and more to come next weekend.
Yeah.
So we're doing great.
We are ready to
a little tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready to come home.
Yeah, we are ready to be out of suitcases. That's for sure. So yeah.
I always love to hear coming home. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. You are, of course, American, but you're coming home.
Oh, we are
back to Portugal as well soon. Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, this is, I guess, a general part of this curve that we're all part of, the learning curve, the living curve, and what it's like to go home. You know, we don't talk about that very much. I mean, home as in go back to where you came from, as it were. And I mean that in a good way. That gets used as a slur, doesn't it? But you know, what reflections do you have? You know, after being in Portugal for a while, it becoming home. You obviously love Portugal. You help other people come to Portugal and find a new life here. But I'm guessing there are a few insights or experiences that you've had being back in the States that you wouldn't have predicted. You know, and you know, life's like that, isn't it? What has come as a surprise, perhaps?
Oh, I'm going to have to touch base on it because immediately I just went to it. I mentioned to you, Carl, that my brother passed while we were here in the States, and so yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. But so we're in my hometown area right now,
Iowa.
Yeah,
and so ended up connecting through family funeral and everything, connecting with all these people from, you know, 50, 60 years ago, 60 plus years ago, connecting with people that I went to grade school with.
Whoa.
So my graduating class was 29, and that was 3 districts consolidated to get that here in rural Iowa.
Yeah.
And so I knew kids from my brother's class, and he was 5 years behind me in school. I knew kids from my sister's class. She was 2 years ahead of me. And so even though there's a whole lot of history here, it's interesting that home is in Portugal. Yeah. And I mean, they're connected with people this weekend that, number one, some I haven't seen since high school, and number two, that never left and continued the farming, family farm tradition, and just it's been very interesting, juxtapositioned in the middle of Viv's family in Florida. We have more reunions to go to there when we get back to Florida from here. and both of our families in Colorado. Colorado's where we got started as a couple. I sent you a picture. I didn't send it early. I sent a picture of Viv sitting in Applebee's where our first just lunch was.
Yeah, our first
Oh,
date.
Yeah.
So
Viv,
we went back and
you look
recreated it.
so happy. You look
Yeah.
so happy in
I
Applebee's.
was.
Well,
Happy Applebee's.
we got our original table back.
We
see,
got our
so
Did
original.
you?
Yes.
That's what your first date was in that at that table.
Yes, it was in that
Oh,
booth.
table.
Yes.
Yeah. In
Wow.
Applebee's, Castle Rock,
Colorado. Yeah.
All of my chakras are spinning seeing that picture.
I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
bet.
yeah.
I hope I can feel it, can see that. That's absolutely beautiful.
Actually, she looks a lot happier there than she looked that first day. That first one, she was just a little bit. I don't know where this is gonna go.
I don't
Right.
know.
And now look.
I don't know about this. I don't know if this is gonna work out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wow. Looks
Someday-
like it has, right? To be fair.
yeah,
It's worked out
yeah,
okay.
it's all right.
Okay, brilliant.
So anyway, so all kinds of experiences and with Iowa thrown in the middle of it all.
Mhm. We got snowed in Colorado. This is our third state. So we got snowed in Colorado by a surprise March snowstorm. And then I got a reminder, a picture on my memories on my phone, and it said March 14th, 2021.
Yeah.
And it was another snowstorm on March 14th that I had
Was
taken a
it?
picture of. Yeah.
Groundhog
So-
snow.
Same.
Yeah.
Stop taking pictures on March 14th.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Babe.
quit that. It makes it snow.
Well,
But it sounds like you're having a really sort of deep time, obviously. And one of my favorite sayings about, like I suppose change or the reflective part of us is the best mirror is an old friend.
Yeah.
And I guess that could be working on so many levels for you, couldn't it? Seeing
Yeah.
these old friends and acquaintances. Is
Yeah.
that telling you a lot about you as much as it is telling you about them and where you came from?
Interesting question. I just kept
Therapy.
yeah, therapy session. Oh, here we go.
I can leave now.
Yeah. So your job is done here, James. Thank you.
You've got it, Carl.
Don't go, James. Don't
yeah.
go.
Well,
Don't leave us with him. Don't leave
We
us
don't-
with him.
yeah, the reflection I kept having at the funeral chapel was how did these people get to be so old? That and had some discussions really there. It was interesting. So I'm 69, and I know in Portugal you don't talk about the next birthday,
Yeah.
and so I won't talk about the next birthday, the decade marker.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I was talking with some of them. Some of them definitely are bemoaning their condition and blaming it on age, and then there are others like me. They're like, "There's no way that I am 69 years old." There's not.
Not on the inside.
No.
But not even there. We talk about mindfulness and attitude, and there's just so much that how we choose to think affects who we are in every realm. And I have acquaintances who are 20 years younger than me that when they hit 50 started saying, I'm getting old. And I'm like, I'm not.
50, you're gonna hurt somewhere. So
You're on your own, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm getting ready to die.
Yeah.
It starts now.
So my Fitbit went off while we were sitting with family the other day. I looked at Viv and I said, I got to move. And so,
So he went downstairs and hopped up the basement stairs and hopped down twice.
Yeah. That.
Got his heart
Just a
rate up.
reminder.
What's that?
Just a reminder.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
you,
So-
hey, I still have a spring in my step.
Yep.
Homeopathic fitness, just a tiny bit can cause so much change and impact.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is so much of our mindset. But the interesting thing is, it's not like we've had to keep a mindset of going back to Portugal's going home. Would you say?
No,
At all?
it's there.
And
It's home.
Yeah.
It's everybody asks us, do we have a backup plan, and I said, no, there's no plan B. We're home. Yeah.
That's
planning.
amazing, isn't it? And then you talked about there of, many decades, knowing people for 50 and 60 years.
Yeah.
And you would think that would affirm home, wouldn't you? That would feel like home.
Yeah.
And you've been in Portugal 2 or 3 years. And just the comparison, the ratio of time is very significant. But obviously
It is.
Yeah.
Here,
There you are, feeling it's home here.
Yeah, the roots are here.
Yeah. The roots are here, but our move to Portugal was a whole body, mind, spirit thing. When we moved.
Yeah.
And
all of you.
All of us. And there was no discussion. There was no agonizing over it. It was like, we had this idea. We made our decision. We slept on it. We got it and said, let's go. And
That's
10 months later, we were there.
Yeah, and we haven't planned this in advance, have we? I mean, this has come together in a way that I think James is talking about. Is of that, if it were a rational checklist, which it isn't, of course, because of all these faculties are very different. But it ticked every box on every level. It seems to be
it did. It felt right, and it's we both are very intuitive, so it felt right from the very beginning, and it's never stopped feeling right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect, but it's home.
Well, one of the things that actually came out before we left, and I think we may have briefly touched on it a month ago when we were chatting with y'all, was that in the second year we did need to refocus on the adventure versus the government
logistics.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I was trying to find a good word.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
The logistics.
Yeah.
They can weigh you down, so you have to guard against just getting so involved in it that you can't see the top. So once we made that adjustment, things got a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, that's really well seen and brilliantly acted upon. I agree with you completely, and you can only know that by going through it, right? You couldn't
exactly.
Exactly. I think you can be of help to other people when they say that's what they're going through.
Right.
No one wants to hear that, do they? On the upside or the outside?
No, you don't. And you think when you get there, that'll never happen to me. I'm so thrilled to be here, but it does. It does happen.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
I think it goes back to the old advice, doesn't it, of be Portuguese about it. The Portuguese, the ones who are light of being are the ones who haven't let that get to them. And I think there's a general thing in Portuguese culture to not let that get to you. But if you do, it will, for sure. That's a fantastic observation there, Viv. We've got a bit of feedback coming in, and it's wonderful to hear about your experience and insight being on that side of the water there. Sue says, Bob and Viv, you're both looking terrific. And they're up at 4:30 in the morning to be here with us. And Pam says, that's a time to be going to bed and not getting up.
I should have seen us 10 minutes ago.
Exactly.
T-Duck is sending his love basically to you here. I'm sorry, as we all are, Bob, to hear about your brother. Losing a younger sibling is tough, says T-Duck. And about being back in the US, we were in the US last month, spent most of the time in a rural area. It was a nice trip, but just like you, we couldn't wait to come home to Portugal. Their prices in the US are way up.
Oh, they're awful.
Apparently, wine was so expensive, I quit drinking. That's bad. That's really bad. Has that happened to you too? Yes. What other observations then of lifestyle? I mean, I know last time when you were out and about, you were somewhat shocked to be charged for parking near the sea, and you've been going to other tourist attractions like this one. That looks like Colorado. Is that Colorado?
That's Colorado. That's Bob and his children. They spent a day hiking.
How lovely.
Red Rocks area. Was that Garden of the Gods?
Garden of the Gods.
Yeah, Garden of the Gods.
Yeah.
Garden of the Gods. What a great name for a place. Is it expensive
it?
to get into the Garden of the Gods?
It is. You got to pay for the gas to get there.
Yeah, it's free.
Right,
walk in.
okay.
You just go in and
Right.
walk around. Yeah.
Yeah.
God's gift of gas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, we were in my son's Tesla, so we were just
Not even that.
electricity. But
Wow.
anyway,
So anything else, Ian, about life in America, going back after a little while? What's it like to be there?
It's more tense. It's more crowded. There's no place easier or more convenient than the U.S. Just everything about it is easy compared to Portugal. It's
spoiled for choice.
a spoil for choice is right.
And for
That's what I was
convenience,
thinking.
overwhelmed. for
Overwhelming
choice.
with the choice.
Yeah.
We went into a Walmart just to pick up a few things, and Bob's just walking around looking, and it's so, it's there, but we haven't seen that in so long. It's like, wow, there are 43 different kinds of bathing suits here, and just so many different things, and everything is so expensive. I can't believe how things have gone up since we left.
Yeah.
I heard about the inflation here. My family told me about it, but they did not drive home how much it was. It's like, good grief.
So we miss sharing a meal with a glass of wine for 15 euros or under, and you can't get hardly anything here for.
We stopped at a fast food restaurant on the way home from the airport because we were hungry.
Yeah.
And it was $25 for a sandwich and some chicken tenders. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
everything is just really expensive.
And there was another observation of that was very interesting, in that we stopped in at 40 minutes before closing time, and they were already cleaning the grill, not making any new sandwiches,
not making any new food at all.
Had already
eat what was there.
Had already taken apart the soda machine to clean it, even though there was 40 more minutes.
Yeah.
There were people still coming in to get food, and they're no, we're out of that. We're out of that. We're out of that. I had to get a different sandwich because they were out of that.
Yeah.
And a difference in the customer service in Portugal, where you're just welcome to be there, and if you're there 5 minutes after closing time, they're not going to kick you out, and so this was 40 minutes before closing time, and we felt like
they weren't happy to see us.
No, they weren't. No, so
and in the U.S., if they're closed, you go in the door and they go, "We're closed." That's the greeting you get.
They will.
We're closed.
Yeah, we're closed. Get out.
Like, get out. Go away. Leave us alone.
I had the shock of my life on Friday. We hung out with the ducks. It was lovely. And another comment, that I wanted to squeeze into this was we were talking with Mr. and Mrs. Pato about how coming to Portugal is a new lease of life. So it's home now. And we were definitely identifying this like it's a new lease of life, making this change, which I think is one of the great upsides of coming to Portugal. Definitely it's been that for all of us as we were discussing on, was it Friday afternoon? We met up a few days ago, and we were sat there, and the lady in the Smash Cafe, she's lovely, in Caldas de Rainha. There's the Dom Carlos Park, and there's a lovely lady who owns it, and she came up to me and said, "Are you going to go now?" And I was so shocked. I said, "Scupa, you see, certo, I'll go." And it's the Easter time in the park there, and there are kids everywhere. There are families, and people are sitting and having a coffee. And we've been sat at the table for a little while, and we've been getting a glass of wine, cup of coffee. And I thought she wanted the table so other people could sit down and wanted us to move on. And I was really shocked because that's never happened to me in Portugal before, right?
Never been asked to leave.
What she was actually saying was she was pointing at the trampoline in front of me, saying, "Are you going to have a go now on that?" And she was going to go on there with me, I think, is what she was suggesting. That's what the joke was, anyway. And I thought, and the relief was palpable. I thought, she's not. Of course, she's not asking me to go. No one ever does that here, do they? She was asking me if I want to have a go on the trampolines in front of us. And it was a real moment of like, No, that doesn't happen here. You're not going to
Yeah.
get asked to leave. Even if you are sitting there and you've had a coffee for what, a euro, and you've been there half an hour already, no one's going to get upset about that, are they?
No,
Not
no.
yet. Anyway.
Not that they show anyway.
Not that they show, correct? Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think
it would be down to me. Yeah, I would go. I'm not going to sit there all day nursing one little drink. I would, or I'd buy another one or whatever. But you know, and I think people are great like that in Portugal. But it was a shock, which kind of revealed that to me that doesn't happen. Darren's with us. Beautiful day in Porto yesterday. Porto. Amazing sunset at Jardim de Moro, and is that the Garden of Death? And the fest. It doesn't sound like the most brilliant place to go, does it? And festival vibes with a live DJ. Oh, I've seen that in Porto. How you get a live DJ as the sun is setting there, and so many people enjoying it in the way that the UK never could. It was indeed sexta-feira. My best friend turned 78 last week, is complaining about her knee needing a cortisone shot. She has hiked, toured, and camped Morocco, Canary Islands, and York in the UK in the last 6 months. Age as a number, as you were saying earlier on there.
Yeah,
that's a secret people want to know more about. So there's another great book there, Bob, if you want to write about that as well. That can sit alongside James's language book on the coffee table at Christmas.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list that we're going to be writing this year. So yeah, any other observations, Viv? You know, how has this trip been for you? Anything that you've realized or noticed that you want to share?
Oh, it's been great for me. The traffic is even better. I don't know if everybody's working from home. It's also spring break, so I don't know if a lot of people are out of town. Right. But I mean, we've been over 3 states, and it seems like the traffic is better everywhere. Okay. So I don't know if that's the cause of it, but
people can't afford the gas. Maybe is that what it is?
That could be it. That could be it. I don't see how they afford food.
Let alone gas. Right.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's disturbing to me that this has happened so quickly.
Why is it happening? I mean, you know, didn't people get paid a load of free money during the pandemic, or is that the problem? What's going on?
I think that's the problem. I think that's part of the problem. Yeah, they did get checks during the pandemic, but not that much. It wasn't life-changing money. It was just a little bit to help.
It wasn't even enough to get by on. It was just money.
It wasn't even enough to live on. It was a little bit of help.
Yes.
But this inflation is crazy here. It's out of control.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going up.
Yes.
Perpetuated by profits, basically, and by people who sell stuff. They take advantage of the fact prices are going up, and they raise them even higher and blame it on inflation.
And
that's not just a U.S. phenomenon, but
no, it isn't.
You can count on it in the U.S. for sure.
What, James? Do you have any urges or inklings to go back to the States? It's not something I've heard you speak about.
None whatsoever. No, I'm very much in alignment with Bob and Viv. It was a very intuitive thing, as I explained, and I realized I didn't make the connection quite as completely as I wanted to making the move, but that's a part of making. How do I know? How do I get information to help me decide? And what I talked about was that's where you get it. So it was started with intuition, then a little intellectual investigation that lined up with that intuition. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I did it with the intention of staying. I never planned to come back.
Yeah.
So
we have no plan to go back.
It's not that we don't. I mean, we've enjoyed our time here.
We have.
It's not that we don't like where we came from. We felt this calling to a shift, to a change, to a new adventure. And so that's still where we are. We're it's been a good time of reflection of it's going to take. We haven't bothered to be disciplined with language and some things in Portugal because we've been having so much fun exploring and traveling, and
to study when we get home.
We're gonna but hopefully incorporate our language study in more of the same, more of the travel, more of meeting new people, more of inviting people to come visit and see where we live, how we live, and why we live where we live.
I think it's important to say as well, we're not bashing the States. We're not
No,
bashing
not at all.
No,
It-
it's a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. That's
Yeah, and
absolutely
you've gone for
appropriate.
more, haven't you? You've gone for Imais, you've gone for more out of life, and Portugal
Yes.
offers that.
Mhm.
And I think there is something about a certain kind of expat foreigner that does need to bash the old place to make the new place feel
No.
okay. And I don't get the sense that any of us are doing that here. And I
No.
understand, I'm not criticizing that, but that I've noticed it. I've
Yeah,
noticed
it
people
happens.
needing to do that. Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right. So
Yeah.
go where it feels
We
right.
weren't running from anything. We were running
Right.
to something better. But
Yes,
we
which
weren't
is
running.
Absolutely.
We loved where we lived, our
Yeah.
actual house and where we lived. We loved it.
Yeah.
We loved our community and everything, but it was time for a change, and we saw a better chance for it, so we went.
Yeah.
I think we're united in that on this screen this
Yes.
morning. Oh, because we do come
Yes.
from amazing, beautiful countries, don't we? It's no
We
question.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved being in America when I was there.
Yeah.
The circumstances were right. I'd love to visit and enjoy that culture because there is just something really amazing about America.
Yes.
Similar to the UK, it's a beautiful country. There's so much going for it, and something else attracted us, didn't it? Something twinkled
Yes.
away from there that attracted our attention, and here we are.
Yes.
Well, most of us. You're coming back. You're coming back soon.
We're coming back. Yes.
And you're I think you mentioned it there, Viv. You're still attracting others. Is it changing your game plan in how you support other people coming to Portugal?
Yes, we understand the US a little better now and the way it's
Right.
changed since we left.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to help that.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't know how people are living here. I honestly don't know. It's
Incredible, isn't
so expensive, everything.
Yeah. So you're offering a place of safety and comfort and relative
Yes.
excellence. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, we got a few minutes left here. I think we're going to look at some chocolate brownies and some mindful memes because we didn't do them earlier. I didn't get this one that you sent to me, James. What's happening? Is he trying not to think about ice cream?
That's how I read it.
Okay.
And then I yes, like, ooh, it's over there.
No.
It just made me chuckle because it's like the left side is the space, the quiet mind, and all of a sudden ice cream boop. It's like, oh, ice cream. Yeah. I think the only thing missing there was the part, like Homer Simpson's ice cream. This is ice cream.
Well, there it is. I mean, here are so many things that could fill that young monk's mind there. There's the fig pudding that I had on Friday evening, which was incredible. That was delicious at the Storytellers. And that was the coffee company I was trying to think of. It's really, I mean, they are mindful coffee makers, this brand here. You know, when people have put their love and attention into things, it's different. That coffee was like that, as was the tea this man made that was made of 3 Portuguese herbs or tea leaves from up in the north where they were grown biologically, organically. And I think an Egyptian hibiscus was in there as well. The color was beautiful. And there is Miguel Moreira, who I've written about this week for the Portugal Resident, encouraging people to drink tea here in Portugal. He's got a tough job on his hands, I think, because this, of course, is a coffee drinking culture. And look, at home, this is the beautiful chocolate brownie that Owen made. And what I'll do is, doesn't that look great? I could eat that right now. If I tried to meditate now, that's what would be on my mind in this same way here. And a further
with brownie.
Yes. Here we go. They're making a movie. James, you can do this. You can take the credit for this, can't you? Or the blame.
They're making a movie about famous composers. I'm playing Beethoven. I'll be Mozart. I'm not saying it.
Arnie is there.
He's not going to be Bach.
He's not going to be
Bach.
I'll be Bach.
I'll be Bach.
I'm not saying it.
Thank you for the translation. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, James. We can't stop thinking about brownies. The best ones apparently in Porto are in the Citizenzer Music Hall. So yummy. And for your information, the avocados that were in the recipe there, I think he eschewed the eggs, the ovos, for avocados instead for a creamy texture. And they're from a neighbor growing them at €2.5 per kilo. A healthy bargain. I dread to think how much an avocado will cost you in the United States. But
I don't even know. I haven't even
one avocado would probably be at least $2.50, I'm guessing.
I think they're like $4.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
They're like
Isn't it
$4 a piece. They're
Well, thank you all for being here. This lovely start to another week, and we hope to see you soon. Maybe you can. You probably want to get home, Bob and Viv, but maybe you could call in on the Silver Coast for a bit of refreshment on your way back.
absolutely.
It'd be
Yes.
lovely.
Well,
to
we'll
see
be
you.
home for 9 days, and then we leave for London for 2 weeks. So
Really, jet setter, globetrotters, amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Not really. We have responsibilities in London. It's
we have to go keep my grandcat. So
oh, really? I've got
I have a grandcat
responsibilities in
there,
London
yes.
too. Maybe I could outsource them to you. That's fantastic. Okay, good to know.
No.
All right, okay, you got enough on your hands there.
Yeah.
Wonderful, lovely to see you. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks,
Thank
James.
you.
Thanks,
It's good
Bob
to
and
see
Viv.
you.
Yeah,
Good to see you,
absolutely
buddy.
wonderful. Let's give you a nice big round of applause. And we'll go into that video, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.